This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Boundary Park alert system with me, Matt Dean. We didn't have one last week because of the August bank holiday double game, Saturday and Monday. Didn't see much point really. Thought we'd wait till the phone in to go over everything. Andy joined us on the phone in last week, didn't you, Andy? How did you find your debut on the phone in, mate?
It's a bit different, isn't it?
It is a bit different.
I think the more light-hearted, frivolous, nonsense-talking nature suits Dave Bradley better than me. But apart from
100%, yeah, that's what it's all about. Dave, sexy Dave. Saw him yesterday, looking a bit hot and bothered. He decided to wear a jacket for some reason yesterday, even though it was like 20 degrees and even hotter in the direct sun. But yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day in the sunshine. For those who didn't get Oasis tickets, be grateful. They're a rip-off. Don't worry about it.
Did you get any?
No. Heaton Park is the worst venue for a gig. It's like you have to trek in. You have to walk for miles through Heaton Park to get to the venue. Then like the sound is awful. It's too big, and then it's a nightmare to get away from. But yeah, I
got 4 for Wembley.
Well, stadiums are better, definitely better. But yeah, the Heaton Park one's a bit of a job. I think so. I saw someone on Instagram, something did the maths the other day. It was like something like 48 million quid return on the Heaton Park gigs alone.
It's a really expensive divorce he's going through, Noel Gallagher.
I remember putting something out like and saying, as soon as he got divorced, that's the Oasis reunion bars 100%. I think they've been planning it for ages, haven't they? Like just like leaving it, building up the demand until everyone's frothing at the mouth for it, and then they made an absolute killing. Presumably, they're going to be like building loads of new community centres and schools in Burnage and stuff like that with the profits. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But anyway, enough about the Gallagher brothers. Andy, we've got a fan guest lined up, mate. Do you think?
We have. So, fan guest, when was your first game?
When was my first game? Oh, we're going back years now. My first game that I can proper remember, I went to the 2014 against Newcastle. We're in that. Went to some league games as well, but I couldn't tell you who we're against. But I've got pictures on like with my family to prove I were there, but I couldn't tell you the game we were playing.
Right, so we're talking about a decade ago.
Yeah,
when you first went. Right, okay. Well, I mean that's that. We can get your perspective on it because obviously me and Matt are well older than you, so it'd be interesting to get your perspective on how you see things, given what you've seen. Who was your first favourite player then?
My first favourite player, there's Keeler Dunn with one of them. Like there's like Lord Dylan Bahambula. It's the one that got the fans really like hyped for going to actually watch him.
Yeah,
because
it's
better when the fans have more behind the players. As we've not really, I'm not trying to be rude, we've not really seen this season as much as we have in previous seasons.
I mean, in recent years, they are a couple of players who've scored goals and got you on the edge of your seat. But again, I guess the other point is like neither of them. I mean, Keeler Dunn's probably done okay since, but Bahambula's not done anything, has he?
No, it's not.
So it's not like he's kept that up.
He's just got released from Livingstone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what's your favourite Latics-related memory in that last 10 years?
Fulham's up there. Beating Liverpool is up there. Like the FA Cup runs that we've had have been like quality. Can't really say much about the leagues because since I've been going watching them, we've gone down like 3 divisions. So it's not really been good in the league. But the FA Cups that we've been in, Rochester's away, getting all them done and going to more stadiums as we've progressed down the ladder, really, not up the
ladder. That's one of the benefits. Gets you a chance to go to different grounds, doesn't it? Yeah. And then Can you tell us a little unknown fact about yourself? I think have you got a YouTube channel you wanna
I do. Yeah, I do YouTube and TikTok. I'm known by like some of the younger generation of fans, and even some like mid-20s and that who obviously have social media and been shown by it. So yeah, I just do media really, and I just enjoy doing it for entertainment's sake.
And so what's the YouTube channel if people wanna look you up?
It's Dylan Melia _OAFC on both platforms, TikTok and YouTube.
What sort of numbers do you get?
Pardon?
What sort of numbers do you get? What sort of
on TikTok it ranges from like 4K views to like it's gone up to originally 52K views. I do live streams on there, get like a good 60 people in there asking me questions from all different fan bases. Got loads of Oldham fans. I've even got National League fans following me, Southend fans, even like Kidderminster fans, Boston fans follow me.
Great stuff. That's really good. Well done. That's brilliant to hear.
Yeah, no, it's ace. And obviously your name is Dylan Melia.
Yeah.
The clue is in the title.
Yeah, the thing on YouTube, I do match day vlogs, and on TikTok, I do daily content about Oldham or even just football in general. But on YouTube, if you want to watch match day vlogs, that's where it gets put on YouTube.
Nice one. Well, yeah, welcome to the podcast, Dylan. It's good to have you on, mate. We put a shout out after the Wealdstone game to see if someone would come on the pod, and we got a guest in just before you, but you messaged, and I thought, okay, I'll leave Dylan there then, just for some point. I know that he obviously wants to come on the pod, and then Andy had someone arranged for this week. They couldn't make it in time, so I messaged you, short notice, off the bench, doing a job. So thanks for that, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries.
So speaking of your match day vlogs, yesterday you were at Altrincham. I watched it just before we came on. You were on the coach, was it? On the way down?
No, I was on the bus. I've made my own way to the ground.
Yeah, and then you were checking out the chippy over the road from the
chippy. If anybody goes to Altrincham, the chippy right outside the ground is absolutely gorgeous. I've got to rate it highly.
Yeah, you were doing
best chippy, Matt, that you've ever been to at an away ground.
I tell you what, I love the one on Anfield Road.
Yeah, you go on the big boys then.
That's a cracker. That is a cracker. Scout. I think we spoke about this before on the podcast, but the Scouts. I mean, I was really drunk by the time we got to the chippy at like whatever time before kickoff. But yeah, really good chippy. Also, the one in Bradford Town Centre, with where they do that, you can sit in and have fish and chips. That's a belter as well.
Oh, for me, Crew Alexandra has got the best chippy. I love that one. I always go and sit in there, and they'll let you bring your own booze in, so you can have a couple of cans.
Nice.
While you have, lovely.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, so on Monday when you're all tweeting about the pod, let's have your best chippy recommendations, and maybe Dylan can vlog them if they're in this division, or maybe in the future when we get promoted, you can go and check them out. But yeah, so I watched it, and someone, I think it was Gary Lazenby, tweeted about it not being a good day for people with ginger hair. You commented at half time, you've got ginger hair, and you were suffering a bit, were you? I mean, it wasn't just for everybody, it was hot, wasn't it? It was a bit like Wealdstone, but not quite as hot as Wealdstone. But yeah, so you were at the game. You were showing your videos from the game and the singing. You were over in the end near the Altrincham fans, giving them a bit of jip as you do. And then this morning, it seems like the first thing you did this morning when you woke up was get your phone out and just you were lying in bed.
Yeah,
he's still in bed, just like doing. Obviously, woke up and I'm like, oh, I've just finished my video off. Is that what you did first thing this morning?
Yeah, I do it every thing because I give myself the time to process and obviously sober up, and then put it on social media.
So then, in the cold light of day, Andy, did you listen? Did you watch, or what's the?
I had the commentary on. I was in the garden. I went to the test match on Friday, which I'll tell you about later. I had a mate down, so I couldn't come up, but I listened to it in the garden. So yeah, I'll let you two talk about it first. So
Dylan, in the cold light of day, then sobered up. What's your thoughts on the game yesterday?
First half, we were far better than them, in my opinion. Obviously, Altrincham had a few chances. I just think we were on top of them, really. And the goal by Norwood, yeah, it might have been an easy goal, but they all go back in the net, and at the end of the day, it's 1-0 up for us, and Norwood back on the score sheet. And then going into the second half, we kind of changed it up and invited pressure onto us, and that's why we conceded, really. And it proves on the wing, I would say Jez is more of a winger, where Ogle is more defensive than getting up the field. So I think there needs to be a tweak, because Monte can't be covering that position when Jez is firing up the pitch, trying getting into the box.
Yeah, it was a frustrating afternoon, really, because we started really well. There was an intensity and an aggression about the team, getting stuck in. I thought Conlon started the game well. Lundstrom started the game well, and we seem to be doing everything we needed to do. We stopped them from playing, but then they just got back into the game, and then it was really frustrating. They had most of the ball. Like you said about Norwood's goal, it was a tap in, but that's what. We should be getting the ball to Norwood in those positions over and over again so that he can put it in the net. I mean, he tapped it in yesterday, but he's not getting on the end of enough chances. Now, he's played 2 hours. He's had 2 1-hour stints on the pitch, and he was always going to come off again yesterday after an hour.
He really didn't want to come off, though, did he?
No, he didn't want to come off, no.
In the Oldham Athletic supporters in the South WhatsApp group, there was one of the lads gone into Manchester afterwards and bumped into Norwood, and apparently Norwood had said to him he felt fit enough to carry on. So you can see why he was a bit irritated. And then when you see that Mike Fondop miss, you think, I mean, you got to give him credit for pinching the ball and then running down on the keeper, but what a terrible effort that was to put it away.
It's got that much space that he should be at least trying to put it dangerous, even if it's forced.
This is the problem with Fondop for me. Is you remember when we did the event at the back end of season before last, Matt, and we asked him, he scores some spectacular goals when it's instinctive and he just hits it from nowhere. When he's got time to think about it, he just fluffs it too often, doesn't he? And I saw a few people saying when he was bearing down on goal, people weren't confident, and this is the issue for me. Like, Matt, because we've had this conversation before, I would not have given Mike Fondop another contract. I'd have been trying to find better, and I think ultimately it's a mistake to say. He's a good lad. He likes the club. He seems like a really nice boy. Him and his missus have been on the phone in. Like, I wish him all the best. I like him as an individual. I just don't think he's good enough. And his role is going to be an impact sub, isn't it? When Garner and Norwood are fit, he's not going to be starting, and he's got to come on and change the game. And that's the chance. That's where he's got to do it. And we could have walked away with 3 points there. It was a gilt-edged chance and a real. That's cost us 2 points. And how many? We've drawn 3 games again already. We've got to try and put this right, haven't we? Really?
Yeah, really, but. Thinking what my question is, are we going to end up going for Josh Stones now? Are we really going to trying to pressure it down from Wigan, because they've just brought a new striker in?
Well, off the record, obviously we're interested in him. That's no secret, but I'm led to believe that there's a lot of interest in him from elsewhere. Maybe some teams in Scotland, some teams in League Two, and so. Wigan are not in any rush, and the transfer window is shut for the EFL clubs, so we can't sign him unless Wigan cancel his contract, which they're obviously not going to do. So we can only go on. I think it's a month alone. That's about it. Now you can extend them probably.
Yeah.
So it's now, I guess, entirely down to Wigan and Josh Stones' agent as to where he goes. So I think it gets a bit slimmer again, probably, that we'll sign him. In which case, we desperately need someone else, because you've only got Norwood and Garner, and they're getting on a bit, aren't they? That's the worry.
Do you want to have a listen to Mickey Melon and his interview with Alan from yesterday, and then we can dissect that a little bit, can't we?
Mickey, you've spoken in previous interviews about needing to take chances. Was that relevant again this afternoon?
Yeah, I think that would be a bit of an understatement, Al, I think. we've been guilty of that now for a couple of weeks now, where you get the kind of, I mean, they're not just sort of, we're no sort of scratching around and trying to convince people that they're kind of half chance. You don't get chances like that and don't score, it's difficult. But the goal we get away was disappointing. It's a free kick and it's come in like about, I don't know, a couple of feet, and how it's got by us, I don't know. I haven't seen the detail of it, but when it was in, it was a crap pat ball in, and you just expect us to defend that better. The second half was kind of turning into us just being very, very solid and looking, getting a good, solid away performance without passing it as much as I'd like to do. But it was pretty solid, and we weren't really looking in any kind of real danger. Just needed to be a bit better with the ball at times, and I'd be first to say that. But definitely, sort of off the ball defensively, we were pretty solid all over the pitch, and the subs that come on did well for us and able to do that. They worked really, really hard, but you can't get chances like that. And this is me just speaking truth. I'm not trying to dig people out and being nasty and naughty and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to win games of football, you can't miss chances like that. You just can't. You won't. I've been guilty of that for a lot of pre-season as well, and then coming into the season where you can pinpoint opportunities and you think you've got to slot that. You can watch TV tonight and football tonight, and you'll see that the teams that are successful take them. They take their chances. They slot them, and they say, see you later, thanks for the points and get out of here. But we never did it, and it is frustrating because this is a tough place to come, and Altrincham are a good side, and we quite easily could have been away with 3 points rather than 1. So it's frustrating.
The chance we did take was midway through the first half through James Norwood. In the lead up to that goal, right from the start of the game, he must be really pleased with the application.
Oh yeah, I think we came out for about half an hour. I think we were excellent. We were really, really good. We scored the goal and then sort of settled on it, which I don't know. We wanted to just try and get hold of the ball and make passes and sort of keep a foothold in the game. But it became a bit scrappy then. I think with the clear one off the line, because I will be fair with the clear one off the line during that period, but we were just a wee bit pouring on some of the 1v1 moments and all defensively. The second half we spoke about that at half time. The second half we were miles better at the moments, and the game was kind of going to peter out, and we would have been standing here saying, no, it was a good solid away performance and we'll win the game, but we gave away a cheap goal, and then miss, I don't know, I'd probably say 3. I would say 3 that you would expect to, very least, to hit the target with 1, but definitely score with 2. But we'll go back in next week and we'll do what we have to do. We'll work on finishing. So we'll work on finishing. We'll do that again, which we do, by the way. We work on it. Speak about the importance of getting good contact and hitting the target. Speak about it all the time. So obviously we need to get back into training next week and do that again.
James' second start since returning from injury, and he's back to doing what he does best, isn't he?
Yeah, he was frustrated to come off, but we've got to be careful because we have to be scientific with it, if you like. But he's certainly getting fitter, and I was delighted to see him score. It was a good goal because we pressed him really, really well. We knew that they would want to try and take chances there, when we knew that we would, if we got things right, we would catch them. We did a couple of times, so it was nice to see it in him.
Clearly disappointing not to have taken all 3 points, but as with all the other draws, does the overall performance, certainly compared to these corresponding fixtures last year, show about progress?
I think we're miles ahead. Make no mistake, but I know he's disappointed. We're miles ahead. We're a different animal, completely different animal. And we're standing here really frustrated we haven't taken 3 points at Altrincham, who made playoffs last year. So we're really disappointed. That's good that we're disappointed, because that says to you that we know that we could have done more. But no, we just got to have to keep going, and the supporters were fantastic again, were great again, and they'll be as disappointed as us, that's for sure. But I'd say we have to keep going, and a point away from home at Altrincham at any time in the season, you'd probably be respectful of picking up a point. But when you had the chances that we had, we're definitely frustrated with them take off 3.
Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.
So from the interview there, Mickey Melon was obviously very upset with the chances. What do you reckon, Dylan? Would Alex Reid have put that away?
I think Alex Reid would have put that away, but I don't think he would have got in that position to take the ball off the defender like Fondop did.
Yeah.
But if it come to that 1-on-1 and he was through like he was, I think Reid would have sorted that. But like I said, I don't think he would have got the ball off the defender at that current moment like Fondop did.
Yeah. It's I mean, he mentioned about the subs making an impact. I mean, Fondop had more chances when he came on than Norwood did. He got himself into a position to take the chances. Norwood's goal was a tap-in. Other than that, he didn't create any chances, did he? So,
no, not really.
You know, I mean, so you've got there's different things to ask yourself there. You know, you mentioned Andy before about him not wanting to come off, but you know, I don't know. We are struggling up front. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it was a tap in, but he got himself in the right position to receive the ball, and then he doesn't miss. He just doesn't miss. You know, if you get the ball to him in and around the penalty box with an opportunity to get shot away on goal, like the one that was cleared off the line as well, he hit the target again there. That's the thing that Fondop is less likely, I think, in those situations. He's just more instinctive. He'll score you instinctive goals, but not necessarily the easy ones. And I just think that maybe Alex Reid would have done. He doesn't fancy Alex Reid.
No.
I don't fancy Alex Reid. I think this is the problem this season is we're still carrying too many players that are not quite up to the standard required. And Mickey said in his interview that we're a different animal, right? We're a different animal to last season. I agree with him. I think we are. You know, Month, Charsley, players like that are much better than the players that we had last season, and they make a difference. But in terms of the squad depth, we're still carrying players like Fondop and Reid, and ultimately Hogan, who are all taking up, you know, part of the budget, as well as the likes of Willoughby and Nuttall out on loan, who we're going to be contributing to. We're not quite where we could be yet. I still think we'll make the playoffs. I still think when everyone's back fit and maybe we sign another player, if we can on loan, that we should be good enough to compete in the top 7 comfortably. But we're just not good enough to. I don't think we're good enough to win the league, are we? That's the point. You know,
No.
You need to be beating. You need to be beating Fylde at home. You need to be. Ideally, we should have beat Gateshead as well, who are top, and we could have taken 3 points yesterday, and it's a whole different sheen on the whole thing. So, yeah, distinct improvements on last season. I think Mickey's done. I'm relatively content and happy with Mickey Melon's performance. There was a few people saying that the subs that he made yesterday changed the game negatively. I don't know what you guys thought. You were there, in as much as it took sting out of it. Because if you look at some of the highlights and listen to the commentary, we were pressing in the first half. We pressed, so we're doing all the things that we weren't doing last season. We're pushing up, we're closing players down, like we did against Gateshead in the second half. When we press, we pinch the ball off them, and then we're in the final third. Did we sit off after we scored? Did we stop doing the things that was getting us in front? Was that part of the problem? Did the subs affect the way the team was playing? Should Mickey take some responsibility for that? I don't know. I wasn't there.
I mean, for me, it was the players decided to, collectively to drop off. I think after the goal, they didn't continue. They didn't say, right, we're a goal up here. We're on top. Let's go and get another one. They didn't do that. They allowed Altrincham back into the game, and I don't think that was from what Melon was saying. I don't think that was the plan. I think he wants his teams to go off and finish teams off. By the time he got to make the substitutes after an hour, I don't think Jez was having a particularly impactful game. I thought Kitchen did quite well. I've heard people say he didn't, but I thought he did. I thought he got to the byline. He put some balls in. He played higher up the pitch. He certainly didn't play worse than Jez when he came on. So I don't think that was a bad substitution. Fondop got himself into a position to score 3 goals and didn't. So he didn't do what he was supposed to do, but he got into the position, so I don't think he impacted the game negatively. And then Dolan came on virtually with his first touch, took about 3 players on and had a shot at goal, and was really, really direct. Apart from that, he only had really sort of one really other involvement. So, but the team, you notice when you're watching behind the goal, I think I've been to that ground 4 times now, and I don't think I've seen a score at the away end. I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. We scored in the FA Cup down the other end at their end, but you realise when you're down there and you're right behind the goal, sometimes how infrequently the team end up at your end. Most of the players seem to be down, in the middle of the park or down the other end in the second half. So and that was pretty consistent throughout the whole half, regardless of who was on the pitch. So I think it comes down to that, like you're saying before, about the squad depth and who we have. Now we've signed Otis Khan, so we'll wait and see what a difference he makes.
I thought that was really strange that he wasn't even on the bench yesterday after we'd given him a bit of fanfare.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but presumably he'll be involved with. We've got 2 games coming up now, aren't we? Saturday and Tuesday. But I think there's quite a lot of stuff to unpack now. I think where we're at. I mean, we're 6 games in. We've got 9 points. We've scored 8 goals and we've conceded 7. Right, so we've got a +1 goal difference. At this stage last season, we had 5 points. We scored 9 goals, a goal more, and conceded 10, 3 more. So on paper, it's not a massive difference, is it? But I'm with you, Andy. I think that the team is better than it was last season, and I think after 6 games, you got your usual suspects on social media going into a meltdown, haven't you? After 6 games, but 6 games in is nothing. There's a long way to go. One of the problems we've got is these bogey teams. So I was having a look at it before. So we got Gateshead, Altrincham, Fylde, Halifax, and Ebbsfleet, who we haven't beaten in this league. We have these bogey teams, and I think what that does is I don't think it's about what happens to our mentality. I think it's the other teams. They feel confident coming playing Latics. They're like, we've not beaten. They've not beaten us. We can beat these, and it's getting over these little hurdles of having these bogey teams. So we've got to do that with Halifax. We've got to get out of these cycles that are still with us, and it's just going to take a little bit more time. Unfortunately, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody. It's frustrating for Mickey Melon. It's frustrating for the players. It's frustrating for the supporters, but you can see that there's better in this team, and I think we will probably go up once we've got like our strongest team together, and we they get a bit more used to playing together. I think we will go on a run at some point in the season and get the points we need to cement ourselves into the playoffs. I still think that. I think there's too much quality in and around the squad, despite the weaknesses that are in there still. So I'm feeling pretty calm about it. But again, you go into the weekend on Tuesday night, and if we don't get points out of it, it is going to start sort of just turning the pressure up on the manager and the players, Dylan, innit? How do you and your mates feel about it at the minute?
At the minute, I'm like with you too. I'm still confident. Yeah, we had a mess up against Fylde, but at a point, I didn't think we were going to win that. I didn't even think we were going to get a point from that game. Because like you said, we haven't beat Fylde. Wheelstone we didn't beat until this season. That was the first time we've ever beat them. That was a good little win for us. Gateshead not beat either, but I expected when we first went into that Gateshead game that we were going to get beat, because Gateshead are looking really strong this season, and we should have won 3-1, 4-1. We had that many opportunities against them. Altrincham yesterday, it's a tough ground to go to. It always has been a tough ground for us. There's not really as much support as there is in other close games that we have. Like Halifax will be louder than we was at Altrincham because we're not allowed the drum, and I think that affects some fans coming because we're not allowed the drum. And I don't think we're getting behind the players as much as we should be at stadiums like Altrincham. But overall, I still think we've had a massive improvement in the squad. I just don't. The wingers are doing me. I like one playing like a right wing back, and then another one's playing like a left winger. And it's like Manny can't cover for Jez all the time, and I think that's what we're relying on a lot because Manny is a really good player. It's been probably one of the best signings we've made this year.
Oh, he's one of the best signings we've made for about 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
He's really good. I mean, there was a moment yesterday I was like, Charlie Raglan was having another outstanding game yesterday, I thought. And I was like, I think he's my player of the month, Raglan, for August. But then I was like, well, what about Manny? You know, he scored 2 goals, so he probably pips him.
Yeah.
But what about formation and stuff? What do you think, Andy? With like he's very, very much stuck to this formation this season and the one up top. And is he going to keep to that? Is he only got that at his disposal, or will he change things up a bit? Do you think?
Well, this brings it back to Stones for me, because if we can sign Stones on loan, then I can't see how he's not going to go 2 up top. I think he's going to go Stones and Nuttall up top if we get him on loan. So I think the formation is going to change. I think we're playing 1 up top probably because that's all we can do at the minute. So I kind of expect that potential to change and have 110 behind 2 forwards. And listen to Dylan talk that, Altrincham's a tough ground for us to go to. It shouldn't be, should it? we're Oldham Athletic. We're massive for this division. We shouldn't be concerned about going to any of these places. And I think that's the psychology, the bit that's still yet to change, is we've got some better players in. We're pressing more. We're retaining the ball. I don't know what our possession stats are, but the games I've watched, we hold the ball. We pass the ball around much better than we've done in the last 2 seasons. We just need to be a bit more clinical up front, and I think that possibly would come with 2. And it's just worth going over where we could potentially sign players from. So there's no transfer window for National League, so we can sign players at any stage. But there is for the Football League. So we can't sign Football League players, as I said earlier. We can only sign National League players on a contract basis. Otherwise it's a loan. Unless their contracts get cancelled from the EFL. So it's kind of narrowed a bit as to what our options are. So if we don't get Stones on loan, I suspect they're going to look for someone else. It appears like they want another striker. And I think that possibly will lead us to playing 2 up top. And I think we should. Personally, I'd like to see us play 2 up top. Wouldn't you? I know there's no. We talked about this when we interviewed Mickey Melon a few weeks ago. The wingers, traditional wingers, football doesn't breed them anymore. You don't play with 4-4-2. It's an old hat formation. But I think we should have a lot of firepower on the pitch. And it'll be interesting to see where he fits Otis Khan into it, and how he rotates the wingers that we've got. Or the wide players that we've got, and hopefully we start to dominate games and put chances away. I feel like we will get going over the coming weeks, and we'll start to pick up more points and then be firmly in that top 7. My gut instinct tells me we're not going to be looking to scrape into 7th like last year. We're going to be firmly in that pack, in the middle of it somewhere. Not really concerned about looking over our shoulder. That's what I feel like is going to be the case. Certainly hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we are playing with one striker up top, but we're not playing 1 up front. Insofar as what's supposed to be happening is we've got 2 number 10s who are supposed to be pushing up and playing alongside. I don't think that Gardner should have been in that role yesterday. I don't think he's got the legs. I think it should have been. Maybe Lundstrom. Maybe this is where Otis Khan's going to play. I don't know, and that's where certainly Kay would play if he wasn't injured. Hammond, I thought, had done all right in those positions, but we need somebody who and Dolan as well, who got the ball yesterday and drove forward with it. That's what Stones did for us. He got the ball in the final third and drove forward with it and went to the goal and attacked the goal. And we don't have that. So I think playing with 3 up front is good, but again, there was moments yesterday with the press where like the front 3 were pressing on, but then the rest of the team weren't getting up behind them, and the ball was being played out by Altrincham into the middle of the park, which was then vacated, and we're on the back foot. So if we're going to do this whole press thing, the whole team has got to do it. And yeah, it's tiring, especially on a hot day like yesterday. But I think that as the season goes on, I think we'll get better drilled. We'll get players in. We'll start to understand a bit more. And it's a long season. I think anyone who's flapping after 6 games needs to just, try and relax a little bit and be a bit more zen, Andy? And just, I think that there will be progress this season overall. I think there has been so far, but it's a long, hard season. And we need to just judge it a bit at the end of the season, ultimately. I mean, there's no point judging it now.
What was in Mickey Melon's interview? He referenced the fans again, saying that he's almost saying our behaviour is good. He wasn't using that language. He was saying I thought the fans were great again. What was the atmosphere like on the terrace? Is everyone?
I went to 2 different parts of the stadium. I went with the fans first half, and then I went the chanters in the first half, and then I went into the open terrace for the second half. Yeah,
was there no moaning? The fact that we weren't dominating the game or we weren't winning 2 or 3 clear. There was no one getting on the players' backs. But I guess that's what Mickey Melon obviously had discussed in the fans forum, the fact that other teams thrive off the fact that there's we turn on our own team pretty quickly, and it feels like we're not doing that this season. Was that the case yesterday?
We didn't get on. Well, second half, they might have got on players, but in first half, there weren't really anything. There were a bit of groans every now and again when some players made a mistake, but
just not.
I think it was some of your individual people, weren't it, Dylan? Like the odd individuals rather than collectively everybody getting really annoyed. I think the referee got some stick.
The referee
I think we managed to take out some of our frustration on the referee. Obviously, we were quite dismayed when Fondop missed that at the end. But yeah, I think on the whole, Dylan, we're still pretty positive, aren't we? As a collective, I'd say.
So far, we are. Well, Aldershot, because I went Aldershot as well. That's where you saw some of the fans complaining. They're like, we shouldn't be losing 4-1 to Aldershot, and some players that need to improve. And
that's fair enough, isn't it? I mean, getting beat 4-1 is a kick in the balls, isn't it? Like, you don't want that. Yeah. You're gonna be annoyed, aren't you? Travelled all the way down to Aldershot to get beat 4-1, and even though it was, people saying maybe it was a closer outcome, blah blah blah, it was 4-1. We got beat, we got hammered. Yeah. And yesterday though, we drew against Gateshead. We could have won both those games, and we mentioned before about fine margins. It is fine margins. If we'd have won the last 2 games, the chances that we should have scored would have gone in. It's all looking very, very different, and you're like, 1 defeat, and another 15 points, like, you know what I mean? So it is fine. It is fine margins. We've just got to find that killer instinct, and I think maybe 1 or 2 signings, and that'll click into place. I just want to mention about the midfield, Andy. I'm still a bit disappointed with our control of the ball in the middle and our ability to diffuse a game. We were giving it away again too often yesterday. Again, I'm going to, Conlon's our captain, so he takes responsibility for being our captain. He's one of our more experienced players in there. He's got to be taking control of the ball and using it better. Gardner as well, Lundstrom. They've got to start dominating the centre of the park and keeping possession.
So I've been bitterly disappointed with Tom Conlon, other than an odd cameo here and there. Like, I think his first game and then an odd game here and there. He's just not doing what I hoped he would do. And this is if we were to sign Stones and play 2 up front with a 10 behind, I'd like to see Charsley a bit further back, because Charsley looks to me like our best player by a mile. Like, he controls the ball, he moves it forward, he very rarely gives it away, he holds on to it. He's like, I'd like to see him in the middle of the park, because you're right, Dan Gardner's legs are probably gone. He's still a good player, but you're expecting him to get injured shortly and miss 8 games. Conlon's not been at it. Lundstrom's hit and miss. Kay's been injured a lot. Like, yeah, you're right. We do need to solve that problem.
What I'll say about them though is, I'm not knocking. I just, for whatever reason, it's not working for them. But they're all working really hard. I'm not going to knock them. They're all putting shifts in. They're all doing their best, and that's why I'm confident things are going to change. I'm not knocking them. It's just not quite working out for them, and then they just don't seem to be. And their touch and some of their passing and so I think they'll just have to keep believing and keep backing them. Like, they can obviously he's won promotion out of this division with Port Vale before, and he's been the captain, and the lad can obviously do it, and he's working hard, and I think most of the fans are still wanting to. I think we're seeing better performances out of Lundstrom again. First half an hour. Lundstrom obviously against his old team was looking good. There's potential in there. They've just not clicked, and they're not sort of. I guess it kind of feeds once one like you said about Charsley. Sometimes when one or two players click in, it helps everybody else settle and everybody else feeling a bit better. So yeah, like I said, I can't fault their effort and their work rate. I don't think there's an issue there. But it's just the midfield certainly hasn't clicked, and once that clicks, it will help the forwards definitely.
Let me tell you a little anecdote about my Friday, right? So I went to the test match at Lords, right, for day 2, and me and a mate went. We sat down, and these 3 lads literally sat next to me, and they're all chatting away, and I'm thinking to myself, that accent sounds familiar. I'm in North London watching England play cricket. That accent's familiar. So after about, I don't know, half an hour, I turned to the lad next to me. I'm like, where are you lot from? He goes, oh, we're from Manchester. I said, yeah, but where? He went, all right, we're all from Oldham. I'm like, are you? I said, any of you 3 Latics fans? And the one in the middle put his hand up and went, yeah, I am. I went, oh, really? I said, what do you 2 support? The other 2? One's a City fan, one's a United fan, right? Obviously, typically. But at some stage, all three of them had been at Boundary Park because they all went to school together. They're about our age, Matt, right? So mid-late 40s. They've all been to Boundary Park together. And so then I started chatting to them, like, I'm a Latics fan, so we get into it. And none of them had heard of the podcast, didn't even know it existed, right? So this is a shout out to Dave, Chris, and Mike, who are sat next to, who should be listening today because they said they would. And I was chatting to him. I said, "You should still go to the actual Latics fan." He was like, "Well, I live in London now, like me, because I go and watch Fulham nowadays because he lives in West London, not far from me." I was like, "All right." I said, "Do you watch Latics at all?" He goes, "I'll go to an odd game." "Oh, it's just not very good, is it?" I'm like, "Well, no, but it's your team, isn't it?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I want them to win, obviously, but I just like a bit easier going to Fulham for a day out, isn't it?" And I was like, "Well." I said, but we're about to start getting better. It's turning, and he knew enough, but not lots, if you see what I mean, about the. Yeah. So then he was like, "So what's the podcast about?" So I told him, and then he started asking me questions. So what's happening at the club then? Who's doing? And I was thinking to myself as I was having this conversation, how many Latics fans are you? Because it's obvious we've lost about 1,000 off the home gates this season, haven't we? Broadly, if you look at the numbers so far. So the last 2 seasons have sort of being a bit turgid, stuck in the middle of National League, not bouncing straight back to the Football League as maybe some people hoped would have happened when the Rothwells instantly took over the club. And then they've kind of lost interest again and sort of waned. And this chap and there's scores of others, isn't there? There's loads of Latics fans. I come across Latics fans more often than I care to think about, really, in all sorts of walks of life, who are disengaged still and don't really understand what's going on. And what I kind of feel bubbling under, and so I was trying to explain to these lads, I was like, get on board now because you're going to enjoy it. We're going to go on a run, and we're going to start to see the club get back to where it should be. We should be able to compete, comfortably at League One level. And it was quite just an interesting conversation because you think to yourself, sort of linking into this podcast, is once we start turning some of these draws into wins and we're firmly in the playoffs, one would hope that we would see fans return. Because, of course, all these lads, when you start chatting to them, have all went to Wembley, all saw the FA Cup semi-finals, all saw promotion. They've all seen that stuff that we saw, but are possibly not as still connected to the club as we have been, and therefore have drifted a little bit. So I just thought it was an interesting thing to raise, because once we get going, the opportunity for this club to grow yet further, I think it still leaves me feeling a bit excited. And I guess when we talked to you at the start, Dylan, you've seen none of this, have you?
No, I've just been relegation, bottom tables. It's been low, really. And then
how old are you, Dylan?
I am 17.
Right. Right.
So for your generation and all your mates, have you got lots of Latics fans of your age, or do they support City and United?
There's a few Latics fans that I know, but there's more United than City fans that I know, and prefer to go and watch them.
And do you feel like, for your generation coming from Oldham, if we go on, a successful period for the next 5 years where we're competing at the top end of whatever league we're in, do you think that would attract more of your age group to Boundary Park?
Well, it would, because they live closer to the stadium, and obviously tickets are a lot cheaper than like the City and United, so it would bring more people in. They're just not coming because it's, as I'm not trying to be rude here, it's been seen as shit football and they don't really enjoy it. So it would attract, if we were up there getting wins, battering teams that we should be battering, and more people will end up coming.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's really interesting what you're saying there between you both, because like what you're saying, Andy, it's the same thing. People that are invested, so it was easy for us all back then, like to get into it, but even people who were really, really into it drift off. And so because the football's bad to watch, and the atmosphere at Boundary Park got so bad, sort of lacked, it was just so bad. And then how do you expect to engage people then at first when it is so bad? It's if the people who were once invested drifted off. I mean, is your involvement through family, Dylan, or what? How did you get into Latics?
It's a local club, and I've always gone for it. My granddad used to do stewarding there, so I went to him, and then in the last 3 years, I've ended up renewing my season tickets and started going a lot more than I used to for the last 6 years.
Yeah. Just a little bit of optimism and a little bit of hope goes a long way, doesn't it? Like since the takeover in 2022.
Talking of optimism and hope, how do you think Dylan's going to get on in this week's Latics Mind?
Depends when the questions are from, doesn't it?
Do
you know, Dylan? I don't know if you listen to the podcast. Do you know about the Latics Mind quiz?
No, I really don't.
Okay. Oh well, every time we have a fan on, which is every week, we put them through to see if they are the ultimate Latics Mind, and if they know difficult questions set by Paul Prendergast.
I'm having a scan down. There's a few questions here from Dylan's period of supporting Latics. Okay. So it should be helpful. So
are you happy to play the quiz?
Yeah, I'm happy to play. I might not be the best at it, but I'll give it a go.
Don't worry about that.
You won't be any worse than me, mate. I'm bloody hopeless. So what we do, I'm just going to play that. We have our theme tune written by Matt Buzzerberry. So there's a theme tune. When that stops, Andy will crack on with the questions. If you don't know the answer, either say pass or just do a random guess very quickly. Don't waste time. Move on to the next one, because the next one you might know. So there's a limited number of time. Get through it as fast as you can. Hopefully the internet stays on and behaves itself throughout the quiz. Good luck, Dylan. Here we go.
Cheers.
Who scored Latics' third goal against Aldershot in August 2023?
Third goal. Was it Lundstrom?
Good effort. It was Ben Tollett. Who did Latics sell to Bradford City in January 2021?
Pass.
Between them, how many goals did Warren Feeney and Keegan Parker score combined during their spells at Latics?
Pass. No idea.
Who did Mike Fondop score his first Latics goal against?
Forest Green?
Nearly. Newport County. Which legendary Premier League defender did Latics decide against signing early in his career in the mid-90s?
Tarwoski, right, in it? I don't.
Sammy Hippier. Who did Latics sign on loan from Nottingham Forest on deadline day in 1999?
No idea, pass.
Yeah. Latics played Manchester United in 2 FA Cup semi-finals, which was a total of 4 games, including replays. What was the aggregate score of all 4 games added up?
10-7.
Oh, 10-6.
Oh.
Which striker from Newcastle did Latics sign before the start of 2012-2013 season?
I'm going to have to pass it. I forgot it.
Yeah, no worries. Who did Chris Porter score his only goal against in his second spell at Latics?
I've got no idea.
It was Dorking Wanderers in the televised home game, which was Frank's first game. Right. Matt, do you want to try some of these passes?
Yeah, I'll try.
Who did Latics sell to Bradford City in January 21?
I don't know.
Danny Rowe.
Oh, yeah.
Warren Feeney and Keegan Parker were both monumental failures, weren't they?
Yeah.
How many goals did they score between them?
I wrote down 7, but I'm that might be optimistic.
Yeah, it was 3. Who did Latics sign on loan from Forest on deadline day in 1999?
Mark Crosley.
Andy Gray. Which striker did Latics sign from Newcastle in 2012-2013? He was a youth player.
Don't know.
Dan Taylor.
You see that, Dylan? Most normal fans don't do any better either. It's completely random. So, did you get any? I got Newport, by the way, for Fondop's goal. So I got one out of that one.
I nearly got the United one. I think I added a goal on.
Yeah, did pretty well.
Yeah, I got so far as writing down 1-1, 3-3, 4-1, and 1-0, but didn't have time to add it all up. So I knew the scores, but I didn't have a chance to add them all. So yeah, I got 1.
Actually, that weren't the scores. 1-0. It was 2-1.
No, what 2-1?
3-3.
3-3 in the first, and then the replay was what score?
2-1.
Right. I thought that was 1-0 in my mind.
Yeah.
It was 1-1 in the other game and 4-1, wasn't it, in the replay?
Yeah.
So I got that wrong. So yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Well. Thanks for playing. That's the main thing, Because if the thing is if you play, everyone can play along at home. Dylan, how many points do you think we're going to take away from the next 6?
The next 6, 4, I reckon. I reckon we beat Southend and then draw to Halifax.
I'd love to beat Halifax away, to be honest. I'd love to go there and beat them. I can't believe we haven't beaten Halifax. It's another one of those kind of like disappointing things. Yeah, so there's 5 teams that we've yet to beat. So let's start next Tuesday at Halifax. We'll yeah, I'm the same. I think we should be getting 4 points. I think we have to be looking at winning your own games and at least drawing away. Are you feeling like that as well, Andy?
I think we're due to go on a little run soon where we win, like 4 out of 5 or something like that. I feel like it's round the corner. Once Garner's back, maybe we get another player on loan. Otis Khan gets blooded into the side. I feel like it'll turn, and that could be now. It could be in a month's time, but I think we're gonna turn, and then everyone can start getting on the bandwagon.
Hey Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage?
Ooh.
What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Ooh. Thank you, listeners.